Venom starts us off strong in this episode of Flicks and Figs. So get ready to drool over Sawtooth Toys' symbiotic variant. We are Venom. If you liked the Venom character representation from Spider-Man 3, and let's be honest, most people didn't, unfortunately, but I liked it. And if you did, here's a Venom that can go up against your Tobey Maguire Marvel Legends, or SHF Spider-Man. And here is Spider-Man 3 Venom next to Mafex, Tobey Maguire, and Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. I'm Libby, your host for episode 86 of Flicks and Figs. So sit back, spin a web any size, catch some thieves, just like flies, as we have a look at some 6-inch action figure news. If you collect and enjoy 6-inch action figures, then you have come to the right place. And shout out to Isaac Wong, who does all these lovely photos of Sawtooth Toys 1/12 Venom here. These pics remind me so much of those final battle scenes where Spider-Man and Harry Osborn took on Sandman and Venom. He likes to be bad. But hopefully Sawtooth Toys likes to be good. Sawtooth Toys are also doing an MCU-style Winter Soldier, which hopefully will also be a solid release. So here is Sawtooth Toys Venom next to some SHF, Sony Universe Spider-Man, and MCU Tom Holland Spider-Man as well. So before he tries to eat their brains, you get a sense of scale. Have you seen Sawtooth Toys Venom before? Mark has featured him in previous episodes of Flicks and Figs, and Robo has also talked about him in his weekly rewind, but I'm curious to see if this is one people will pre-order, so let me know in the comments below. And I have to say that Isaac Wong does a very good job of making this figure look really attractive in these photos. If you weren't considering getting Sawtooth Toys Venom, then these pics certainly sell the idea of picking him up, in my opinion, which is dangerous if you're just casually viewing him from afar. So on this Sawtooth Toys Venom, there's a lot of intricate details going on at the top half of the figure, but by comparison the legs and lower waist are a bit more of a simple design. Robo mentioned that, and I must admit I can see what he means. I can't make my mind up if it looks like a cloth costume, or a living symbiote, as it's not very glossy or liquid-like. But what do you think? And here's Sawtooth Venom deciding to put aside his differences with the Spider-Man and Party Hard Marty. And speaking of Spider-Man, from Sawtooth Toys Venom, we go to have a look at Mess Toys planning to give us a classic-looking Spider-Man. Now Mark hasn't yet reviewed a Mess Toys figure on the channel, but this could be the one that draws him in. And speaking of Marvel, maybe you've been putting your Gameverse Marvel Legends alongside your Storm Arena Street Fighter figures. And if you have, then Mr. Lee here has some great Storm Arena and Storm Collectibles upcoming products pics to whet your appetite from a convention in Asia, I assume. So obviously we got a quick glimpse at the Storm Arena Barkey line there, and feel free to check out Mark's Storm Arena Barkey and Yujiro Hanma reviews on the channel, links in the comments below. And here's Storm Arena Street Fighter Alpha Zangief looking absolutely fantastic. It's worth noting that Zangief will be the last character to be released from Jada Toys for their Ultra Street Fighter 2 line. So it's a question of which Zangief you want, depending on who gets to him first, Jada or Storm. Or maybe you like collecting both. And here is a look at Storm Collectibles Street Fighter 6 M Bison. Now I haven't played Street Fighter 6, but I've seen it. But I wouldn't have had a clue this was M Bison unless I had been told. And notice he has thigh cuts. Now he does have a horse to ride, so maybe it's for that reason, for better articulation for riding poses. But it does seem like Storm Collectibles is adding thigh cuts, as you'll see later, which is a welcome addition in my book. And then from one big bad of Street Fighter in the form of Hobo M Bison, as I think of him here, to Akuma in Storm Arena form, and this Storm Arena Akuma looks excellent. If you want a very classic Akuma, Jada have you covered. And this is also a classic one, but it seems to have more sharper details. That's the basic differences between Jada and Storm Arena. Softer details from Jada, whilst sharper, more anime styles from Storm Arena, like the Alpha artwork. Well, at least Ryu, Ken, Sagat, Zangief and the Chun-Li and Charlie and Dan here all look like the Alpha or Zero anime artwork. Akuma seems to look more real world by comparison, in my opinion. And speaking of Dan, here is Dan, and his currently available for pre-order. Here's Street Fighter Alpha Dan. These sell out so quick, so get him whilst you can. And here's Balrog or M Bison if you're in Japan, from Storm Arena in his Alpha 3 form. So yes, in Japan Balrog was called M Bison as a tribute to Mike Tyson, but in the States they were worried about legal issues, so all the bosses' names got swapped, as M Bison is actually called Vega in the States, and Vega is Balrog. Confused? You should be. And from one boxer to another, from Balrog we go to Storm Collectibles Hajime no Ippo the Fighting, which is a popular boxing anime. So I guess this is the Flicks part of Flicks and Figs. I know nothing of Ippo, but he's a cool looking figure, and could be a sparring partner for Balrog. And here we have a look at the grey prototype for Street Fighter Alpha 3 Mika, and she's a rookie wrestler, who's a fan of Zangief, and we will be taking a look at Storm Arena Zangief and another infamous Capcom wrestler from Metro City, who's also the mayor there. Wrestlers becoming mayors, bodybuilders who become actors becoming mayors. Life really does imitate art. And shout out to Mr. Lee if I haven't said that already for these pics. And here we have a test shot of Cammy in her Street Fighter Alpha 3 costume. I think this is her Killer Bee, or Shadlu costume. And it seems she has some kind of backstory relating to M. Bison, which I was never aware of, so there you go. And here is Street Fighter Alpha 3 Zangief. Mika, who we saw earlier, is a big fan. And then jumping from Storm Arena, we go to Storm Collectibles, and here is T-Hawk, who is also coming in Storm Arena form. And one thing I really like, is that Storm Collectibles have added thigh cuts. And that may break up the aesthetic with previous Storm Collectibles figures for some collectors, which is understandable, but I really like the addition of thigh cuts. It might be a small thing, but it's a preference for myself and Mark to have figures with thigh cuts that will have all the same points of articulation as your Marvel Legends, etc. And this Storm Collectibles, T.Hawk, has that, and also Street Fighter 6 M. Bison.
And then the big one from Storm Collectibles, I'm so excited I've stepped in Libby. It's Final Fight figures from Storm Collectibles. Now in a perfect world, I'd like these from Storm Arena. This is Cody and Hager the wrestler. See, Libby did say we would be seeing another Capcom wrestler. And Major of Metro City. These look absolutely fantastic. And Guy can't be too far away to complete the Final Fight trio, and they have thigh cuts. I love the addition of thigh cuts, it just makes everything so uniform in the articulation in my collection. So what do you think? Are Final Fight figures something you're excited for? Now Street Fighter Alpha has some Final Fight figures in their roster, so it's more than likely that we will get some Final Fight characters in Street Fighter Alpha form. Rolento is one I'm really looking forward to, but I'm so excited for these. I'd probably go in for the Storm Collectibles one, but if I'm patient, then Storm Arena ones must be coming. But when are us toy collectors patient?
So Street Fighter Alpha 3 Zangief here is ready for some more 6-inch action figure news, are you? We'll make yourself comfortable, grab a selection of your favorite snacks, sit back, and kick back, and let's get into episode 86 of Flicks and Figs. Grab some figures from the display, and have a pose, and some play. We are back, YA yak. Here's Libby and TAKTAK. So here we have Bro Toys 112 Light Warrior, which has a passing resemblance to Yoshimitsu. There is a standard and a deluxe version. I've seen chatter online regarding the creation of this look of the character. But this Bro Toys Light Warrior is available to pre-order at all the usual places like 5K Toys and the ever-reliable VT's Box and Jepeng, so plenty of places to check out to make your pre-order from. So from the video game characters of Street Fighter from Storm Arena, we get Tekken-inspired third-party ones from Bro Toys. And Tekken characters would actually be really cool in action figure form, as would Soul Calibur in my opinion. So what other Tekken characters would you like to see in action form from a third party, or otherwise? Let me know in the comments below. And this video is not for kids. And from Yoshimitsu, let's go to the ever-reliable SH Figuarts Dragon Ball Z. So here we have the Dragon Ball Super Saiyan Son Goku Blue Transcending Limits form. Of course we do, I know that's what you were expecting. Pre-orders for this version of Goku are right around the corner at the time of this video, and pre-orders open up December 5th. And maybe the Dragon Ball Z Super Saiyan God Son Goku God Aura is more your vibe, and pre-orders also open up December 5th, so it's really a question of if you like Goku rocking the blue hair or rocking the pink hair. What you Super Saiyan viewers? Which one is your pick? Or is Dragon Ball Z something completely new to you? Let me know in the comments below. So Dragon Ball Z here is the Flicks part of this episode of Flicks and Figs. And if you'd like some anime-looking turtles, the Rage Toys 112 Crimson or Violet figures, look some female turtles that you could add into those Fury Toys Summer, or Mikey, Autumn, Donatello, or Spring, which I think is Raphael if I remember correctly, or maybe that's Leo, can't remember, let me know if I'm wrong down below. And the pre-orders for these should be open at the time of this video. So I guess this is the third-party version of characters like Venus de Milo. Have you been collecting the Fury Toys turtles? Shout out to Tanner Super Turk 5000. I know he's picked up the Leo in this style, and they are supposed to be good if a little small for 1/12 scale. Or are they? It really depends, as the TMNT Ninja Turtles have been depicted as smaller than human scale, as well as the same size. And if you're Michael Bay, the turtles are even bigger than your average human. Please don't be Michael Bay, one is enough. But yeah, these look quite nice in my opinion, different enough from the many other Turtles lines that we currently have. So I won't wax lyrical about these too much. But yeah, sort of have a very comic looking or maybe even manga looking vibe in my opinion. So if you want manga style turtles, these could be your best bet. And then from female turtles we turn our attention to the Grey Knight Mythal Action Troll, which we see a test shot here of him doing a few yoga style poses. So it will be interesting to see what this troll looks like when he is painted up. And then from trolls let's go Berserk. And more specifically Berserk Golden Age Art Griffith, the Band of the Hawk, and pre-orders for Griffith open December 5th as well, so by the time you're watching this episode Griffith could be up for pre-order. So here Griffith, the White Falcon, leader of the Band of the Falcon, and Supreme Commander of the Midland Army, some impressive sounding titles there. He's the main antagonist in Berserk. So what's Berserk, you may ask? Well, it's an extremely violent manga, set in a medieval European style fantasy world. Yeah, no shit, from looking at these photos, and the conflict between Guts the protagonist, and Griffith his antagonist. And speaking of manga, and anime in this case, feel free to check out Mark's Storm Arena Barky review, and here is Barky next to Marvel Legends Spider-Man. So Mark will know, don't drop a link for that video in the comments below. And if you're enjoying this episode of Flicks and Figs, let me know in the comments below. Smash that like and hype button, feel free to become a channel member for even more content if you want to. And let's have a look at this Sega Genesis character, in 1/12 action figure form. Rocket Knight Adventures from Premium DNA, and putting their reputation to one side, if you're enjoying the Sega Mega Drive or Genesis game, then you can own the main character in action figure form. And Mark is old enough to remember this game on Sega Mega Drive here in the UK. I never played it. The game's initial release was in 1993. So this is a figure of Sparkster, the main character of the game. So if you like a possum knight in shining armor with a rocket pack, you can add one to your collection. And here is D1 Studio 1/12 Rage Z Boys, which as David Display's Model Behavior said in his video, this guy looks like artwork from the Gorillaz band album artwork, and I can see that. I was thinking it kind of reminds me of 3A and Ashley Wood. This guy looks very toy art piece. But it is an action figure. It's its own thing. So you can take this boy Rage's eye figure on all sorts of his own adventures in toy photography. And Rage Z Boys Yazai is available to pre-order at 5K Toys. And as you can see from these photos, this figure is very photogenic, and will definitely make for some very pretty toy photography, in my opinion. The expressive face sculpts really sell it for me. So let me know what you think of this figure in the comments below. And if you regularly do toy photography, and have some favorite figures that you take pics of, let us know in the comments below. And if you're enjoying the action figure news in this episode of Flicks and Figs, let me know in the comments below. And from there let's take a look at the Inart 1/12 Black Myth Wukong, and the initial release of the Inart Wukong was great from online chatter, as all Inart stuff has been so far. The initial Wukong figure was available at Emporium of Cool, and I'm sure this one will be available there as well. I'll try and drop a link to Emporium of Cool in the comments below. And this Wukong figure is 1/12 scale, but some of these pics make me feel like he's a giant like Godzilla. But he is 1/12, and it's another version of the Journey to the West Monkey King, I believe, for your action figure collection, this time in what appears to be one uniform color. And again, shout out to Isaac Wong for these absolutely beautiful photos, which really capture the essence of the character and the figure in various dynamic poses. So the original Inart Black Myth Wukong had what I would call a navy royal blue outfit and light brown and beige fur, whereas this release is all charcoal ash gray in my opinion, which may cause this second release to blend in rather than stand out in an action figure collection. But there seems to be a lovely blend of gray tones in the paint apps on the figure, or at least that's the impression I get in this great toy photography. For some reason, looking at this Wukong release from Inart makes me think of Snake Eyes from G.I. Joe, in that his costume is all black, but something about the simplicity of that just works. And this ash grey fur on this Wukong just sort of works. The simplicity of the paint apps just kind of work for me. And I don't know whether it's the great lighting in these photos, or the paint apps on the figure. Despite this Wukong being essentially all one color, there is definition and different tones in the paint apps that make the uniform grey work. That shows you the difference on paint apps on an expensive import figure to a domestic release. Obviously, if this were a character done by Hasbro or Mattel, it would look different, but the paint apps wouldn't stand out as much in one uniform color. And the description of this version of Wukong is stone, which implies to me he's in some sort of stone form. He has what I would call sand speckles on his arms, legs, and torso, which help give the ask grey paint job definition, and a blue towel loincloth around his waist, which further break things up subtlety. And if you're wondering what's included with this stone monkey version of Wukong, then it's 2 interchangeable head sculpts, 8 interchangeable hands, 5 accessories, and 1 base with a stand, and it does seem like there are more characters in the lore that Wukong could bring to life. Mark is really curious to get an art figure in hand to see what they are like and how good they are. They just haven't come out with a figure yet that suits his collecting tastes. And if you're enjoying this journey to the West in action figure form, smash that like button, hit the hype button, and feel free to leave a comment and subscribe, and you can become a channel member for even more content. And whilst we take a look at these lovely promo pics from Isaac Wong, we have some comparisons with other action figure lines coming up, so you can get an idea of what Stone Wukong is like compared to a few different action figure lines you might have. So here is the Stone Monkey Wukong compared to the Destined 1 version, and as you can see here, they do appear to be 2 different characters, and also the Zhu Baji character. So that's a comparison with other existing characters in the lineup. And then perhaps you've wondered what an art Stone Monkey is like in a lineup alongside Jada Toys' Tony the Tiger, and also Sagat from Street Fighter 2. Well, if you have, here you go. And here is an art Stone Monkey next to Mafek's Age of Apocalypse Cyclops, and then 616 Shafig Cyclops. Because, well, why not? And seeing Cyclops makes me think we should get a Cyclops creature in some kind of action figure form, although that's probably more Mythic Legion's territory rather than Wukong mythology. In Black Myth Wukong, the Stone Monkey is a major boss encountered in the Birthstone area. The Stone Monkey serves as a key figure in uncovering the truth about Wukong and stands as a formidable opponent. So this gives me the impression that these characters are from a video game of some sort. Let me know in the comments below. And the Inart Stone Monkey is officially licensed from Game Science, and yes, looking it up, Black Myth Wukong is a role-playing game rooted in Chinese mythology. It's available on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and Microsoft Windows. So the main protagonist is the Destined 1 that we have in action figure form from Inart, as seen in some of these pics in battle with the Stone Monkey. The Stone Monkey features a stone textured finish that delivers an authentic rock-like feel. The subtle mist-like materials and refined paintwork enhance its dynamic battle-ready atmosphere, whatever that means. So basically, this is a boss in the game, and presumably we will be getting more bosses from the game in action figure form. And then sticking with Inart, we are getting an excellent Anne Hathaway Catwoman from the Nolan trilogy of Batman films. And Inart really are just getting ready to get elbows out with Mafex and other high-end action figure companies for a competitive price. And that's not the only Chris Nolan stuff we will be looking at in this video. The Inart Batman paved the way, and that thing is a masterpiece in action figure design, so this will be really good. And LPZZ have also teased their own version of Catwoman, so it really will be a case of which look you prefer. Both do have their qualities and merits, and Mafex will need to up their game a bit to stay in the running with Inart and LPZZ entering the action figure market in 1/12 scale. And the official write-up does say Inart Catwoman comes with an additional head sculpt, hopefully a more expressive one, as the vanilla one here looks a little bored in some pics in my opinion. She looks a little better with the masked head sculpt compared to the unmasked head sculpt. She also comes with a broken Batman cowl, additional hands, pistol, and goggles as mentioned. I appreciate that the DC movie figures sell well, but I wouldn't mind some DC comic Inart figures in 1/12 scale. And if you want to do some world building around your Inart Christopher Nolan trilogy Batman figures, and you miss the McFarlane Batman camo tumbler, there is another chance to get one in the form of a Modicking model kit in 1/12 scale. So whilst we look at Inart Batman and Catwoman sizing each other up, let's jump to the Modicking 1/12 camo tumbler. Now first off the bat, ha ha ha, little joke there, Bat. The Batbike apparently does fit inside this tumbler in the way that is accurate to the films, which is quite impressive. And this camo tumbler from Modicking and Catwoman from Inart make up the Flicks parts of this episode of Flicks and Figs, along with Dragon Ball Z earlier. And I've seen a lot of collectors use the McFarlane 1/10 tumbler with their G.I. Joe classified collection, which is what Mark wants to use this for. And as Mark mentioned to me, he's missed out on the McFarlane 1/10 scale tumbler, which was at a very low price previously. but there is something nice, and a different aspect of the hobby building a 1/12 model kit, that looks like it could essentially house action figures from my collection in the cockpit. And let's keep the flicks part of Flicks and Figs going here with Sophia from John Wick 3, and I haven't seen John Wick 3, is it good? I've seen the first one, and it is a classic, but at the same time there's so much of the same gunplay action, that it almost means there aren't many memorable standout moments, as it all blends into one. If anything, the he used and Fing pencil is probably one of the most memorable moments. And this is actually Halle Berry as Sophia. I didn't realize that. She is an ally of John Wick from what I have read online, and this does make for a very nice looking action figure as Mafex often do. And if you're enjoying this episode of Flicks and Figs, let me know in the comments below. Write it with your phone, computer, or even a deadly pencil. Smash that like button and hit the hype button. So if you want a badass female with 2 German shepherds, then Mafex have you covered on this front. Tease the season to be jolly. Here comes Santa Doc Nocturnal with the Krampus getting into some folly. So Doc Nocturnal versus the Krampus from Mesco 112 for the fate of the Christmas season is sold out on Mesco 112 site. But you can join the waitlist to have a chance to pick up this set to feel in the festive spirit. And then from Festive Mesco 112 figures, let's go to Loose Collector, and his test shot for Wargoth. Here's Wargoth working out with Masterverse He-Man, and this gives you a glimpse of the articulation you can expect to see on the figure. And Mark has Loose Collectors Cabbot Stone and Blood Wolf, and they are great figures, a bit like high-end Marvel Legends. Now I don't know much about Wargoth, but if you like swords and sorcery type barbarian characters, then Wargoth might be your bag. So as you can see, the articulation is on point here. This is a Coffin Comics release, I believe, alongside that winged version of Lady Death, which I don't know if we have seen again since the initial tease and reveal, but Wargoth is certainly coming along nicely. And something else that's coming along nicely is the Unparalleled Universe Odious Cowboy Odious and Army O. Mark wants to get the Army O, and the campaign is on for a few more days at the time of editing this video. So hopefully you can head on over and back this if you want to. Or if the campaign has ended, hopefully it's been successful. And that leads us to shoutouts. So here is Mini Plastic Multiverse Archer Tom with his Batman family after a battle with the Joker and his henchmen and Phantom X and X-Force on a heist. Go check out Mini Plastic Multiverse on Instagram, link in the comments below, and check out Dan, who and his review of the Marvel Legends Sentinels, and of course Odious from Unparalleled Universe, as mentioned before. And check out Cull's Cave and his Gambit vs Sentinel pick. The name's Gambit, remember it. And if you enjoy Legends and Liquor, you might have heard this fella being mentioned on the most recent episode, the Mouse King Figura Obscura from the Four Horsemen. Not a creature was sleeping, not even a mouse. And then stay tuned, because you'll see a review for these coming up on the channel. Roboskull Red Shadows 6-inch figures. Mark has the Red Shadow and Jungle Wolf figures for review. These are from a Kickstarter that happened years ago. So Mark will let you know what these are like very soon. So here's a look at the Red Shadows in their packaging. And check out Ron Bot Customs Banana Man here. Feel free to check him out on Instagram. And Ronnie is a fan of Hellboy. And here's the Tem Studio Skull Toys 1/12 Blood Major, which looks very similar to a Hellboy villain, although you could also have him fighting your Mesco 1/12 classic Captain America. And check out Miguel the Wolfpack toy review. And here's Marty What's Up Danger with his Court of Owls pick, and Batman looking a bit worse for wear. Feel free to head on over to Instagram and check him out. Feel free to check out Comics and Cocktails, in-demand toys, props and replicas, the whole shebang, and Jay's Toy Collection UK and more, Infinity Equation, and Justin Collects, an emporium of cool. And if you want any links for anything mentioned in the shoutouts here, let me know. And here is Bandai Figuarts Naruto Shippuden Naruto Uzumaki The Power to Unite, which is ironic since there has just been some bridge building and unity, with shoutouts of YouTube channels and UK independent action figure retailers. Pre-orders for Naruto open December 5th. And here is Bandai SH Figuarts Naruto Shippuden Sasuke Uchiha The Solitary Shinobi. And no one should have to feel solitary, not even Sasuke, so feel free to head on over to the YouTube channels I've mentioned and check them out. And that includes you Naruto and Sasuke. And Sasuke will also go up for pre-order on December 5th. And check out Mikey Moon Boots and Encountered Culture, and I'll drop as many links as possible in the comments below, and feel free to check out Mark's Acid Rain Fexed Hobby 6-inch action figure Wave 1 review. Here they are flanking the Man of Steel from Mattel. And here is the Operation Monster Force Wave 0, and Wave 2 Phantom Corps, and Apophis Legion troops, and boy are they good. Mark has a review up on the channel, and here they are flanking Mattel, Kyle Rayner Green Lantern. And Green Lantern is a hero who patrols the deepest sectors of space, and here from TEM Studio we have the 1/12th Death Star Supervisor. Although there's probably not much to supervise, as it's been blown up twice. And TEM Studio are giving us that Nazi-style Hellboy villain we saw earlier in the episode, and here is the Death Star Supervisor. TEM Studio Death Star Supervisor plans are not in the main computer, but here in this episode of Flicks and Figs. And the Death Star Supervisor Archer Darth Vader makes another entry for Flicks representation of Flicks and Figs. The helmet does look a bit off compared to things like Black Series and SH Figuarts. But if you want a stylized Death Star Supervisor with probably not much to do, but Supervisor Rubble, then here you go. But he is all soft goods cloth costume. So if you want some Mesco 1/12 style Star Wars figures for your toy photography, then here you go. And here are some comparisons with SH Figuarts Star Wars figures, so you can see the relevant height differences, and also the Mafex Rogue One Darth Vader as well. And Darth Vader Death Star Supervisor story arc was that he went from being a terrible dad to a much better one. Well, there is a little more to it than that, and he's not the only alien dad we are going to be looking at here. So Luke and Leia will be pleased to learn that they aren't the only ones who had a dad that can turn things around. As we go from the Darth Vader third-party cloth goods figure to the Zoomrig My Alien Dad, which sounds like a sitcom from another planet. But nope, it is an action figure, and technically more of the Flicks part of Flicks and Figs. So Zoomrig Alien Dad is available to pre-order on TAKTAK Toys, and I'll leave a link in the comments below. He comes with parts to make an angry alien dad, who can tell you where he really comes from. Maybe Zoomrig might give us a 1/12 compassionate alien human son in the near future. Although Jada Toys will be giving us their 6-inch Invincible line in 2026, I don't know why on earth I mention that in relation to this. And if you're enjoying this episode, let me know in the comments below. And oh look, here's the Oni Man parts that are included with my alien dad. So he comes with 10 replacement set of hands, a masked head as seen on the figure, is scheduled for a spring 2026 release. But I guess that could be subject to changes. So my question to you is, are you excited for the Jada 1/12 Invincible figures? Will you be picking those up? Obviously those will be based on the animated show, but the comics also have a wealth of characters we haven't seen yet. And no doubt some of the comic characters, and looks from the comics for existing characters, are going to show up in the animated series, meaning Jada will no doubt be tackling those in the near future. I'll also be interested to see what Zoomrig offerings come our way regarding some world building for my alien dad in the future. Oni Man looks sort of like a super-powered angry J. Jonah Jameson, doesn't he? And I don't know if Robert Kirkman ever intended that, but that's my take on him. And if you haven't ever watched Invincible, it's sort of like what if Spider-Man or Superboy had Superman for a dad, but of course everything is not as it seems. So let me know in Zoomrig My Alien Dad is something you want to pick up in the future. Well, that's it. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Flicks and Figs. Lots of Figs parts in this episode, lots of figures based on TV and movie properties, lots of stuff to look forward to. One Punch Man Puri Puri Prisoner sees us out. Another character from the One Punch Man anime and manga in amazing Yamaguchi form. And until next time, enjoy those Flicks and Figs.